Thank you, Mr Speaker. 1 in 3 or 3.5 million Australian households experienced food insecurity in the last 12 months, according to the Food Bank Hunger Report for 2025, which was released yesterday. The report paints a stark picture of widening food insecurity across our nation, debunking the myth that hunger only affects the unemployed or the homeless. It affects people everywhere, including in my electorate of Bradfield. The Food Bank Hunger Report for 2025 reveals that cost of living pressures remain the #1 concern for 91% of food insecure households, followed by housing and the broader economy. Behind the data, there are some real stories of families forced to skip meals so children can eat, workers going hungry to pay rising rents, and people living with disability or illness struggling to put food on the table. So what is food insecurity? Well, it's a broad spectrum. So marginal food security, or marginal food insecurity, I should say, means that you're worried about whether your food will run out. That's about 11% of Australians, but they are not in this category of the 1 in 3 figures that I mentioned earlier. Food insecurity takes in those that are moderate to severely insecure. That means that if you're moderately food insecure, you compromise your meal choices, and that's 13% of Australians. That means you may not choose to buy proteins like beef or nuts, or you switch out fresh fruit, produce for lower priced, less perishable frozen ones, for example. Severe food insecurity means that you're skipping meals, and not just possibly one meal, but not eating for a whole day. A troubling 20% of Australians are in this category, and it's having crushing impacts on individuals and families. I spoke this week with a GP who told me that there are an increasing number of people, particularly women, presenting to his surgery with low health standards, fatigue, anemia, anxiety, depression. And when this happens, his first question goes to the patient's lifestyle and food choices, asking whether they are eating poorly or skipping meals. Unfortunately, the answer to these questions is increasingly yes, they are. The report's most alarming findings include that 1 in 2 of all renting households have experienced food insecurity in the past year. 7 in 10 of households that include someone with a disability or a health issue have experienced food insecurity in the past 12 months, and 3/4 of them are in the severe category. Nearly 7 in 10 single-parent households are now food insecure. 1 in 5 households earning $91,000 or more experienced food insecurity in the past 12 months. Now, all of this, frankly, is crazy in a country like Australia here in 2025, that families are skipping meals while at the same time good food is ending up in landfill. It's madness. That is cheaper for food producers to throw away perfectly good food rather than donate it. The good news is that, as well as properly analysing and explaining the problem, Food Bank has designed a solution. They've put on the table a sensible and modest tax change that would mean good food goes to people like the mum who goes without breakfast in the morning so her kids can eat before school, rather than that food going to landfill. The change would incentivise small and medium-sized food producers, such as farmers and growers, to donate surplus fresh food to registered food charities. It would do this by producing a cashback or a tax credit for business based on the costs incurred in donating that food. And as I said, it's a small change, and I mean a modest government investment of around $50 million a year, and would only cover a portion of the costs incurred by food producers when donating excess food to charities. But it would tip the scales when businesses are considering whether to donate or to dump. Independent modelling shows a tax incentive by 2030 would deliver enough food for the equivalent of 100 million meals, save producers and businesses money, and help halve food waste. This proposal is a win for families. It's a win for small and medium-sized producers who can find a new market for their produce, and it's a win for the environment. When I asked the Treasurer a question in question time yesterday, I was delighted to hear that he is aware of the idea for a tax incentive and that he takes these kinds of suggestions seriously. He said that Labor is always looking for ways to help people with the cost of living, especially the most vulnerable. I thank the Treasurer for his interest, and I'm excited about the opportunity to work with him and with the member for Fenner, the Assistant Minister for Productivity, Competition, Charities and Treasury, to achieve this important reform that will so positively impact struggling Australian families.